Welcome to Beyond the Smile, the podcast where we dive deep into dental health, nutrition, and everything that makes life more beautiful.
Hey there. You know how we're always talking about getting our homes and wardrobes ready for winter?
Right.
Well, it turns out our teeth need a little winterizing too.
Absolutely.
We had a listener write in asking us to dive into a couple articles from Prime Dental Group about winter dental health.
Okay.
And let me tell you, I learned a lot getting ready for this deep dive with you.
Yeah.
It's not just about, avoiding those typical winter toothaches.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how those sneaky little habits we pick up in winter can really affect our smiles.
That's right. We bundle up and crank up the heat, and we kind of forget that all that can actually affect our oral health in some pretty surprising ways.
Okay, so let's start with the most obvious one, the cold itself.
Okay.
I always thought sensitive teeth in winter were just like a thing,
Right.
But I was surprised to learn that there's actually a pretty fascinating reason behind it.
Yeah, it all comes down to what happens at a microscopic level.
Yeah.
Inside your tooth enamel, there are these tiny little tubes filled with fluid. And when you step out into the cold, that air can actually cause those tubes to shrink.
Wait, really? They shrink? That's so weird.
Yeah. Imagine it like this. Your house might creak and groan a little when the temperature drops, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, those tiny tubes in your enamel are kind of doing the same thing. And that shrinking and expanding can make your teeth feel really sensitive, especially if you already have fillings or any weaknesses in your enamel.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like those tubes are sending out like an SOS saying, hey, it's freezing out here.
Exactly. And that's why sometimes even like taking a sip of something warm on a cold day can feel jarring. Those rapid temperature changes can really stress those tiny tubes.
And over time, that repeated stress can actually lead to cracks in your enamel, right?
Exactly. Think of it like bending a paperclip back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, it's going to weaken and break,
Right.
That's why it's so important to understand how even those everyday winter moments like stepping outside or sipping hot cocoa can impact our teeth.
Okay, so we've got to be mindful of that cold air. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Staying warm and cozy inside can also be a culprit when it comes to winter dental issues.
It's true. You see, winter often means we're spending more time in heated environments.
Right.
And while that keeps us toasty,
Yes.
it also tends to dry out the air. And guess what? Dry air leads to
Dry mouth. Okay, I admit when I first saw that in the article, I was like, dry mouth. That's the worst thing winter can do to my teeth.
Yeah.
But it turns out I was very wrong.
Right. Dry mouth isn't just uncomfortable. It can actually be pretty detrimental to your oral health. You see, saliva is like our mouth's natural defense system.
Okay, tell me more about that, because I think a lot of us take saliva for granted. What does it actually do?
Well, for starters, it helps wash away food particles and bacteria. And think of it as your mouth's own personal cleaning crew.
So less saliva means more gunk hanging around. Not good.
Not good at all. Plus, saliva helps neutralize acids in your mouth, which protects your enamel from erosion. And get this, it even contains minerals that help strengthen your teeth.
Wow, saliva is like a superhero. And we're just sitting here letting winter zap it away.
It's easy to overlook, right?
Right.
But when your mouth is constantly dry, you're basically losing that essential protection, which makes you much more vulnerable to cavities, gum disease, and even bad breath.
Okay, now that's something I definitely want to avoid, especially with the holidays coming up. You don't want dry mouth to ruin those festive gatherings.
Exactly. So we've got these two major winter culprits working against us.
Mm-hmm.
Cold air shrinking those enamel tubes, and dry indoor air sapping away our saliva. The good news is we're not powerless against them. Prime Dental Group has some really helpful tips, and we're going to break them all down for you.
Yes, I love actionable advice, so let's get to it. What can we actually do to protect our smiles this winter?
Well, let's start with addressing that sensitivity issue. One of the simplest but most effective solutions is using a desensitizing toothpaste.
I've seen those at the store, but honestly, I never really understood how they work. Do they just like numb your mouth or something?
That's a common misconception, but it's not about numbing. Desensitizing toothpastes actually work by blocking the pain signals from your teeth to your nerves.
So it's like they're intercepting those help it's cold messages before they reach your brain.
Exactly. They contain certain ingredients, like potassium nitrate, that essentially block those signals, reducing the sensation of sensitivity.
Okay, so desensitizing toothpaste is like a bodyguard for your nerves. What about that dry mouth situation? Besides feeling like a desert in there, we know it can lead to some serious problems. What can we do to combat it?
Well, As you might have guessed, staying hydrated is absolutely key. And here's the thing. Even if you don't feel thirsty in winter, you've still got to make a conscious effort to drink plenty of water throughout the day.
Okay, I know drink more water can sound like super generic advice.
Right.
But seriously, folks, it's so important, especially in winter when we might not be feeling those thirst cues as strongly.
Absolutely. And here's a pro tip. Carry a reusable water bottle with you. Having it within reach can be a great reminder to keep sipping.
Oh, I love that. It's like having a little hydration buddy. Besides guzzling water all day long, are there any other ways to combat that dry air situation?
You can actually add moisture back into the air with a humidifier.
Okay.
Running one, especially in your bedroom at night, can make a big difference in preventing your mouth from drying out as much.
Oh, humidifier for the win. It's like a spa day for your sinuses and your mouth. Okay, so we're hydrating, we're humidifying. What else can we do to keep those pearly whites happy this winter?
Well, what we eat can actually play a big role in our winter dental health.
Okay.
And I'm not just talking about the usual avoid sugary treats spiel, although that's definitely still important.
Right.
Prime Dental Group highlighted some foods that can actually be beneficial for our teeth,
Yeah.
especially during the colder months. And one of them might surprise you.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is this magical winter dental food? Wait, cheese. Really? I thought cheese was just, delicious. I didn't realize it was good for my teeth.
It is. First of all, cheese helps stimulate saliva production, which we know is key for fighting dry mouth.
So it's like a delicious way to boost your mouth's natural defense system.
Exactly. But there's more. Cheese also contains a protein called casein, and casein actually helps strengthen tooth enamel.
Wow, so cheese is like a delicious little workout for your teeth. Okay, I can definitely get behind that. What other winter-friendly foods did they recommend?
They also mentioned incorporating crunchy vegetables like carrots and celery.
Okay.
Think of them as nature's toothbrushes.
Oh.
They help scrub away plaque and also stimulate saliva flow.
Okay, so we're swapping out those sugary holiday cookies for cheese and veggie sticks. Not a bad trade-off if you ask me.
Not at all. And if you do find yourself indulging in some holiday treats,
Right.
they recommended chewing sugar-free gum afterward
Okay.
to help stimulate saliva production and neutralize acids. It's like a little damage control for your teeth.
Ooh, that's a good tip. So sugar-free gum is officially on my holiday shopping list. Anything else we should be thinking about in terms of holiday survival for our smiles?
Well, no matter how well we take care of our teeth at home, regular dental checkups are still crucial, especially during winter.
I know it's easy to let those appointments slip, especially with all the holiday craziness going on.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. It's so important to stay on top of those checkups.
It is. Your dentist can catch any potential issues early on, like those tiny cracks in your enamel we talked about, or gum problems that might be exacerbated by dry mouth.
Right.
It's all about prevention.
Plus, there's nothing like a professional cleaning to make you feel like you've got a brand new smile.
Exactly. It's a great way to start the new year fresh. Now, one thing that really stood out to me in these articles was that winter's impact goes beyond just our teeth. They talked about chapped lips and even jaw pain.
Wait, even my jaw needs some extra TLC in winter.
Yes. Remember that dry air we've been talking about? Well, it can really take a toll on your lips, leaving them dry and cracked.
Okay.
And as for the jaw pain, well, cold temperatures can actually make your jaw muscles tense up, leading to discomfort or even aggravating something called TMJ, which is...
TMJ? What's that?
It stands for temporomandibular joint disorder.
Okay.
Basically, it's a condition that affects the joint that connects your jaw to your skull.
Oh, okay. So the cold can actually make TMJ worse.
It can. If you're already prone to jaw pain or clenching, that cold air can exacerbate it. And the articles actually recommended wearing a scarf to keep your jaw warm and consciously trying to avoid clenching your teeth.
Makes sense. It's like bundling up your jaw for the winter. I never thought about it that way.
And if you do find yourself dealing with jaw pain,
Right.
they even suggested some gentle facial exercises to help loosen up those muscles.
Okay, so we've got tips for our teeth, our lips, and even our jaws. This is like a full-on winter wellness routine for our smiles. What else did the Prime Dental Group articles have to say?
Well, there's one more winter woe they mentioned that I think we should discuss. Cold sores. You know those pesky little blisters that can pop up around your mouth?
Yes.
Especially when the weather gets chilly.
Ugh, yes. I get those sometimes, and they were the worst. I always thought it was just the cold that triggered them.
Right.
But the article said something about stress playing a role, too.
That's right. Cold sores are actually caused by the herpes simplex virus.
Okay.
And while the cold weather can certainly trigger an outbreak, Stress is another major culprit.
So wait a minute, are you saying that managing my holiday stress could actually help prevent cold sores?
It's definitely possible. The more stressed we are, the weaker our immune systems become, which makes us more susceptible to those pesky virus outbreaks. So taking steps to manage stress could absolutely have a positive impact on your overall health, including your oral health.
That's so interesting. I never connected those dots before. So basically, prioritizing self-care and stress management during the holidays could be like a secret weapon for a healthier, happier smile.
Exactly, it's all connected. Now, while we've covered a lot of ground here, there's even more to learn from these Prime Dental Group articles. We'll dive into those details and give you even more actionable tips in part 2 of this deep dive, so stay tuned. It's fascinating how interconnected everything is. Even simple things like our breathing can have a big impact on our oral health, especially in winter.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about this breathing connection.
Well, when we breathe through our mouths, whether it's because of the stuffy nose from a cold or just out of habit,
Right.
it can actually contribute to dry mouth.
That makes sense. So mouth breathing is basically bypassing all those saliva benefits we talked about.
Exactly. And it's something to be mindful of, especially in winter, when those colds and dry air are already working against us.
So what's the solution? Are we all supposed to become expert nose breathers?
Well, ideally, yes. Nose breathing is generally healthier for us because it filters and warms the air before it reaches our lungs.
Okay.
But I know it's not always easy, especially if you're dealing with congestion.
Right. Those stuffy noses can be a real pain.
They are.
Yeah.
But even simple things like using a saline rinse or nasal strips can help clear those airways and make nose breathing easier.
Ooh, good tip. I always forget about those nasal strips. They're like magic for opening up those nasal passages.
They really are.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of things that can help us breathe easier, did you know that Prime Dental Group even mentioned something called butyco breathing in one of their articles?
Butyco breathing, that's a new one for me.
It's actually a breathing technique that focuses on reducing mouth breathing and improving overall respiratory health. The idea is that by learning to breathe more slowly and deeply through your nose, you can actually improve airflow and reduce things like snoring and even asthma symptoms.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's not just about our mouths and teeth, it's about our whole respiratory system. I'm definitely going to have to look into this butyco breathing.
It's definitely worth exploring. And let's shift gears a bit and talk about some other practical tips from those Prime Dental Group articles. One thing they emphasized was the importance of choosing the right lip balm in winter.
Okay, lip balm. I'll admit I'm a bit of a lip balm addict. I have one in every bag and drawer.
Yeah.
But is there really a wrong kind of lip balm?
Well, some lip balms actually contain ingredients that can dry out your lips even more.
Gaps! That's like betrayal. How do I know which ones to avoid?
Look for lip balms that contain moisturizing ingredients like beeswax, shea butter, or coconut oil.
Okay.
And avoid ones with menthol or camphor, as they can actually be drying and irritating.
Okay, noted. I'll be checking my lip balm labels more carefully from now on.
Sure.
What about those jaw tension issues we were talking about earlier? What did Prime Dental Group recommend for that?
They had some really simple but effective tips for relaxing those jaw muscles.
Okay.
One of the most basic ones is to just be mindful of clenching or grinding your teeth.
Okay, so basically, just be more aware of what our jaw is doing throughout the day.
Exactly. And if you notice yourself clenching, try to gently relax your jaw. Another helpful tip is to apply a warm compress to your jaw muscles to help loosen them up.
Oh, a warm compress sounds lovely, especially on a cold winter day. Are there any other ways to release that jaw tension?
They also recommended some gentle facial exercises like slowly opening and closing your mouth or gently massaging your jaw muscles.
Okay, so it's a combination of awareness, warm compresses, and some gentle facial yoga for the jaw. I can get behind that. What else did those articles say?
Well, one thing that really stuck with me was their emphasis on the connection between our overall health and our oral health.
Yeah, we touched on that earlier with the stress and cold sores connection.
Right, but they went even deeper, highlighting how conditions like diabetes and heart disease can actually manifest in our mouths.
Wait, really? You can see signs of those conditions in your mouth?
It's true. For example, people with diabetes are more prone to gum disease because high blood sugar can weaken the body's ability to fight infection.
Oh.
And studies have shown a link between gum disease and an increased risk of heart disease.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like our mouths are sending us little health reports.
That's a great way to put it. So the takeaway here is that taking care of our oral health isn't just about having a bright, shiny smile.
Right.
It's about taking care of our overall health.
I'm really starting to see how everything is interconnected. It's not just about brushing and flossing. It's about understanding how our lifestyle choices, our stress levels, even our breathing habits can impact our mouths.
Exactly. And that's why those regular dental checkups are so crucial.
Yeah.
They're not just about cleaning your teeth. They're about getting a comprehensive assessment of your oral health and identifying any potential issues early on.
Okay, I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on in this deep dive.
Right.
But before we wrap things up, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, those desensitizing toothpastes.
Okay.
Do they actually work for everyone?
That's a great question. While desensitizing toothpaste can be very effective for many people, they don't work for everyone.
Okay.
It really depends on the underlying cause of your sensitivity.
So what if you've been using a desensitizing toothpaste and you're still experiencing sensitivity? What's the next step?
Well, that's when it's especially important to talk to your dentist.
Okay.
They can help determine what's causing your sensitivity and recommend the best course of treatment. It might be something as simple as adjusting your brushing technique, or it could be a sign of a more serious issue that needs to be addressed.
That makes sense. So don't just suffer in silence. Talk to your dentist if you're having any concerns about your oral health.
Right.
They're the experts after all.
Exactly. They're there to help you achieve and maintain a healthy, happy smile no matter the season. Now, before we move on to part 3, let's quickly recap what we've learned so far.
Yes. Let's do a quick knowledge check. What are some of the key takeaways from our deep dive into winter dental health?
Well, first of all, we learned that cold air can actually shrink those tiny tubes in our tooth enamel, leading to sensitivity and potentially even cracks over time.
Right. It's like our teeth are doing their own winter shrinking act.
And we also learned that dry indoor air can be just as damaging, sapping away our saliva and leaving our teeth vulnerable to cavities, gum disease, and bad breath.
So hydration is key. We've got to keep those saliva superheroes working hard. What else?
We talked about the importance of choosing lip balms with moisturizing ingredients and avoiding those that can actually dry out our lips.
And don't forget about those jaw muscles. Cold weather can make them tense up, so we learned some tips for relaxing them, like warm compresses and gentle exercises.
Absolutely. And perhaps most importantly, we learned that taking care of our oral health is about so much more than just brushing and flossing. It's about understanding the connections between our overall health, our lifestyle choices, and our smiles.
It's all connected. Now, in part 3, we'll dive into some more specific tips and tricks from those Prime Dental Group articles, so be sure to stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our winter dental health deep dive with some more practical tips and maybe even a little holiday survival guide.
That sounds like a plan. We've talked a lot about the challenges that winter brings.
Right.
But let's focus on those proactive steps you can take to keep your smile healthy and bright throughout the season.
Perfect. I'm all about actionable advice, so let's dive in. What are some of those extra tips and tricks that Prime Dental Group shared in their articles?
Well, one thing they emphasized was the importance of proper brushing technique, especially when it comes to sensitive teeth. You know, we often rush through brushing,
Right.
but in winter, it's even more important to be gentle and thorough.
Okay, so what's the best way to brush when your teeth are feeling extra sensitive?
First of all, use a soft bristled toothbrush.
Okay.
Those hard bristles can actually irritate your gums and make sensitivity worse.
Okay, soft bristles, check.
What else? Don't brush too hard. You want to be gentle and use circular motions rather than back and forth scrubbing.
That makes sense. I can definitely see how aggressive brushing could make things worse.
And another helpful tip is to avoid brushing right after consuming acidic foods or drinks.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Well, those acids can temporarily soften your enamel, and brushing right away can actually wear it down.
So it's like giving your teeth a little time to recover before you go in with the toothbrush.
Exactly. Now let's talk about flossing, because as we all know, it's just as important as brushing.
Right.
But Prime Dental Group had some interesting insights on flossing technique that I wanted to share.
Okay, I'm all ears, I'll admit. I'm not always the most diligent flosser,
Yeah.
but I'm always open to learning new tricks.
Well, they recommended using a gentle C-shaped motion when flossing.
Okay.
Basically, you want to curve the floss around each tooth and gently slide it up and down, rather than just snapping it back and forth.
I've definitely been guilty of the snapping motion. I'll have to try that C-shaped technique.
It really does make a difference. And if you're finding traditional floss difficult to use, they also suggested trying those interdental brushes or water flossers.
Ooh, water flossers. I've heard good things about those. Are they as effective as regular floss?
They can be, especially for people who have difficulty maneuvering traditional floss or have braces or bridges.
Okay.
But it's always best to talk to your dentist about what's best for you.
Okay. So we've got brushing, flossing. Any other daily habits we should be mindful of?
One thing they mentioned that might surprise you is being mindful of chewing gum.
Wait, I thought we were supposed to chew gum after sugary treats to help with saliva production.
That's true. Sugar-free gum can be beneficial, but if you're prone to jaw pain or TMJ, chewing gum too often can actually aggravate those issues.
So moderation is key.
Exactly. Now, since we're talking about the holidays, let's dive into that holiday survival guide you mentioned.
Yes, because let's be real, the holidays are a time of indulgence.
Right.
And it's hard to resist all those tempting treats. What are some tips for protecting our smiles amidst all the holiday cheer?
Well, one thing they emphasized was being mindful of portion sizes. You don't have to deprive yourself completely,
Right.
but just be conscious of how much you're consuming.
That's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in the festive spirit and overindulge.
It is. And if you do have a sugary treat,
Right.
try to have it with a meal rather than as a standalone snack.
Oh, that's a good tip. Why is that?
Well, when you eat sugary foods with a meal, your saliva production is already increased,
Okay.
which helps neutralize those acids and wash away those food particles more effectively.
So it's like your mouth is already in defense mode.
Exactly. And of course, brushing and flossing after meals is still crucial,
Right.
even during the holidays.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. Brushing and flossing are our best friends all year round.
Absolutely. And another helpful tip is to keep that sugar-free gum handy. Chewing it after meals or sugary treats can help stimulate saliva production and freshen breath.
Sugar-free gum, check. Anything else we should be thinking about in terms of holiday survival for our smiles?
Well, one thing they mentioned that I thought was interesting was being mindful of beverages.
Okay.
All those holiday cocktails, sodas, and even some festive juices can be loaded with sugar and acid.
Okay, so sugary drinks are on the naughty list. What about alcoholic beverages? Are those a concern for our dental health?
They can be billed.
Yeah.
Alcoholic beverages can dry out your mouth.
Oh.
And some, like red wine, can even stain your teeth.
Oh, right. I've definitely noticed the red wine effect on my teeth before.
It's something to be mindful of.
Yeah.
If you are enjoying those festive drinks,
Yeah.
try to sip water in between
Okay.
to help keep your mouth hydrated and rinse away those staining agents.
Okay. That's a good strategy. Alternate those festive sips with some good old H2O. Any other words of wisdom for navigating those holiday gatherings with a healthy smile?
Just remember to be kind to yourself. The holidays are a time for enjoyment and celebration. Don't stress too much if you slip up on your dental routine. Just get back on track and keep those healthy habits in mind.
I love that. It's all about balance, right? Enjoy the festivities, but don't completely abandon your healthy habits.
Exactly. And remember, if you do have any concerns or questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your dentist. They're your best resource for maintaining a healthy smile, no matter the season.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I think we've covered just about everything in our winter dental health deep dive. Any final thoughts you want to leave our listeners with?
Just a reminder that taking care of your oral health is an investment in your overall health and well-being. It's not just about aesthetics. It's about feeling confident and healthy from the inside out.
Beautifully said. And remember, those Prime Dental Group articles we mentioned are a great resource for even more detailed information and tips. Be sure to check them out.
And as always, don't forget to schedule your regular dental checkups. Prevention is key.
Yes, a healthy smile is a happy smile. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Stay warm, stay hydrated, and keep smiling.